Stephen Kinnock.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, gentlemen. You've been very generous with your time. Secretary of State, you've given your full backing to the Chequers Agreement, and of course a cornerstone of the Chequers Agreement is that we will uphold the rights and protections that we currently enjoy as an EU member state. But you are also on the record as having said, I don't support the Human Rights Act and I don't believe in economic and social rights. You've said it's too difficult to hire and fire in this country. This is a major obstacle to growth. You've said you want to, in your report in 2011, Escaping the Straitjacket, you said you want to abolish the agency workers regulations and to abolish the working time regulations. And you're also on record as having said feminists are amongst the most obnoxious bigots. So is it accurate then to say that you support the piece in the Chequers Agreement which says that we want to uphold the rights and protections that we currently enjoy as a member state of the European Union?
Well, can I thank you for the full sort of detailed study you have done of my past
pleasure.
greatest hits.
My pleasure.
In terms of the economic and social rights, the point I was making, and I wrote a book about this in 2009, is that in relation to civil liberties and human rights, actually the approach in this country, the liberal tradition of human rights in this country, along the lines of John Stuart Mill, Locke and Isaiah Berlin, has tended to be to protect civil liberties as human rights, which is a constitutionally superior brand of right, which has Trump status in the courts. Now, in fact, in fairness, and I've been critical of the Human Rights Act in the past, as you rightly say, actually the Human Rights Act takes it as its approach to protect civil liberties, civil and political liberties, and has not tended to include some of the economic and social rights that have been contained in UN conventions. So actually, I think I'm making a straightforward point about human rights. I've never argued that there shouldn't be economic and social rights protected in law. It was about the Trump card status given to human rights under the Human Rights Act or any Bill of Rights. On the Working Time Directive, the argument, I mean, the government's been consistent about this, that we're not going to encourage a race to the bottom or diminish workers' rights as a result of Brexit, and I fully support that. And the point I've made about employment and social legislation is that if you're mindful of the pressures that that puts on employers, and at the same time you're striking the right balance with the workers' protections, and both of those things are crucially important, why on earth would you want to abdicate that to the EU and abdicate your democratic control? So actually one of the crucial things that we'll have when we leave the EU is strong standards, bespoke ones that suit the economic and social conditions of this country, and people like you and I, albeit from different parts of the political spectrum, will be accountable to our voters for it. And that ought to be something that we agree on. On the the feminism debate, the simple argument I always make is that I think that the value of equality is too important for us to engage in double standards. And I'm fully supportive of all of our equalities legislation. I'm a meritocrat to my core. I don't believe in positive discrimination, which we fortunately have not gone down that path. But I think it is important for you and I who share the value of equality and want to see it applied consistently, that we call out double standards wherever it applies.
Thank you very much. I wanted to move on now to the issue of the Vote Leave campaign, and obviously given that you're now batting for Britain, it's very important that we have full confidence in the authority and integrity of that process, and that does relate to the fact that you were a member of the campaign committee for the Vote Leave campaign. I've got here a copy of the terms of reference of the campaign committee, and it states clearly that one of the roles of the campaign committee will be how Vote Leave interacts with other organisations promoting a leave vote, the way in which fundraising is to be conducted. And it also says clearly the way in which fundraising is to be conducted and donations maximised. So as a member of that committee, which had clear responsibilities as defined in the terms of reference, can you say what you knew about the relationship with Believe, which is of course the subject of the illegal donation from Vote Leave?
Well, I was on the political campaign board, as you rightly say, and I'm proud to have been so. We had no role in relation to the allocation or the disbursement of campaign donations that were made, and so I had no direct personal contact with Believe. I understand the point that you're trying to make, and obviously the Electoral Commission should pursue it in the ordinary course according with the rule of law. I just gently say to you that if what you're really trying to do is discredit the referendum wholesale and push back on it, I think that would create a far greater breach of public trust. And what we all ought to be trying to do, I think your Select Committee has a crucial role, is trying to rally together, forge some consensus of unity of purpose and try and get the best deal.
Secretary of State, I'd gently say to you, I actually think this issue is far bigger than Brexit. I really don't connect it to the referendum. I think it's an issue about the soul of our democracy and whether or not we can restore people's trust in it. What I would like to know, though, is given the terms of reference of the Campaigns Committee and that you were an active member of the Campaigns Committee, I assume participating in the weekly meetings, had you ever heard of the Believe campaign during your time at Vote Leave?
Oh, I'm sure I was aware of all the other different groups, but that's not what I spent my time focused on, either as a member of that board or as in my wider efforts campaigning.
But we know that the donation to Believe was by far Vote Leave's biggest donation, £680,000. It's difficult to believe that the Campaigns Committee, given that it was responsible for making decisions about donations, wasn't aware of the biggest donation. Oh,
well, I think that's an inaccurate description of what that committee did. There was a professional operational team that dealt with the day-to-day running of the campaign and things like the donations coming in. Obviously, we had an outreach function, but what we were primarily focused on was the political campaigning. Oh, by the way, and if you want to talk about the soul of our democracy, I don't think second referendum on Brexit would be very good for the soul of our democracy either.
I agree, and that's something I've never advocated. Thank you very much.